Hey guys, today we're going to dive into something that can truly change your life. Better communication. Imagine this. You're in a room, surrounded by people, and there's something important you need to say, but the words aren't flowing. You hesitate, unsure if what you say will even make an impact. What if I told you that improving your communication skills could not only help you express yourself more clearly, but also bring about success in both your personal and professional life? What if knowing how to express yourself clearly helped you build stronger relationships, land your dream job, or finally speak up without fear? The truth is, communication isn't just about talking, it's about connection. Effective communicators have the ability to create clarity and make lasting impressions. It's the bridge between who you are and what the world sees. In fact, communication is the foundation of success in every aspect of life. You might feel like you've got communication down, but let's pause for a second and ask yourself, are you really being heard? Or are you just talking and hoping that someone will understand? Too many people struggle with this because they don't stop to think about the most powerful part of communication, the ability to listen. Now, that might sound surprising, right? We often think of communication as something we do with our voices, but listening? That's where transformation begins. This is the first step in the journey of improving your communication skills. If you want to connect with people, build trust, and make an impact, you have to first learn how to listen with intention. I'm not talking about just hearing the words. I'm talking about actively engaging with the speaker, understanding their message, and responding in a way that creates meaningful interaction. This is how you become a powerful communicator. So let's break it down together. We're going to work through every step of improving your communication, and we'll start with the very core of it, active listening. Active listening isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. Most people walk through life feeling unheard, misunderstood, or even invisible. They talk, but no one truly listens. Have you ever spoken your heart out to someone and realized that they didn't catch a single word you said? It feels frustrating, doesn't it? In that moment, you feel small, insignificant, and maybe even discouraged from trying again. You might wonder, why bother? But here's the reality. If you want real relationships, real impact, and real growth, you have to start with one thing that most people overlook: active listening. Now, let's clarify. Active listening isn't just hearing words. It's about truly understanding them. It's listening with intention, a practice that goes beyond the surface of mere words and digs deeper into the meaning behind them. When you engage in active listening, you make the conscious decision to absorb not only the words that are being spoken, but also the emotions, the tone, and the nuances underneath. It's a skill that helps you connect with people in ways most don't. Many people think of communication as something we do with our voices, speaking, explaining, sharing ideas. But real communication isn't just about talking, it's about connecting. And the best way to truly connect with someone is by listening, not just to their words, but to everything they're saying, both consciously and subconsciously. Here's the thing, people don't always know how to listen actively. They listen just enough to respond. They wait for their turn to talk, but they don't listen to understand. So, if you want to become a master communicator, you have to become a master listener. Active listening is more than just hearing words. It's about fully absorbing what the other person is trying to convey. It means giving them your full attention. It means not just hearing what they say, but understanding it deeply. Understanding the meaning, the intention, and the emotion behind those words. And this level of listening is incredibly powerful. You'll notice a big difference in how people respond to you. When people feel that you are listening to them deeply, they are more likely to open up. They're more likely to trust you. They are more likely to engage with you in ways that move the relationship forward. If you want to be heard and understood, you must first learn how to make others feel heard and understood. It's that simple. The most influential communicators aren't necessarily the ones who speak the best. They're the ones who listen the best. The more you listen, the more you create an environment where people feel comfortable sharing their thoughts. Active listening shows others that they matter, that their opinions are valuable, and that their voice is being taken seriously. At the core of active listening is presence. You cannot listen deeply if you're not present. How often do you find yourself distracted in conversations, checking your phone, thinking about your to-do list, or preparing your next response? We've all done it. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. But active listening requires you to be fully present, to set aside distractions and focus solely on the person speaking. When you practice active listening, you give someone your undivided attention. You engage with them not just with your ears, but with your body language, your eye contact, and your energy. You look at them, not at your phone. You're not thinking about your response. You're just soaking in what they are saying. When you are truly present, people feel it. They feel seen and they feel heard. It creates a stronger connection and lays the foundation for more meaningful interactions. Patience is another essential component of active listening. Often, we're so eager to respond or share our thoughts that we don't fully let the other person finish speaking. We interrupt. We jump in before the other person has had a chance to express their full point. But active listening requires you to hold back. It means waiting until the other person is finished speaking before you respond, allowing them to get their thoughts out without rushing or interrupting. It's a simple yet incredibly powerful practice. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly listened to? I'm sure you can think of at least one moment when someone gave you their full attention and didn't interrupt you. How did that feel? Didn't it make you feel valued and understood? This is the impact of active listening. By practicing patience, you give the other person the space they need to express themselves fully. You allow them to feel heard without rushing them or assuming you know what they'll say next. This patience is a form of respect. It's a signal to the other person that their thoughts and feelings are important enough to warrant your full attention. But active listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about picking up on nonverbal cues, the subtle signals people give that often say more than words ever could. Think about the last conversation you had. Did you notice how the person was sitting? Were their arms crossed, or were they leaning forward? Did their voice sound shaky or more confident? These nonverbal cues tell a story that words alone can't fully capture. Active listening involves tuning in to these signals. You might notice someone's body language or the tone of their voice and recognize that they are feeling nervous, excited, or upset. Feelings that aren't always explicitly stated. When you listen to both the words and the body language, you get the full picture. And that's where true connection happens. For instance, you might hear someone say, "I'm fine." But if their voice is tight and their body is hunched, you'll know that something is off. This gives you the opportunity to ask deeper questions, to provide support, or to adjust your response accordingly. Active listening helps you move beyond the surface and understand the deeper emotions that are often unspoken. The more you listen with intention, the more trust you build. Trust is the foundation of any strong relationship, whether it's with a friend, a colleague, or a family member. When people feel that you are truly listening to them, when they feel that you're present, patient, and engaged, they begin to trust you. Trust is built over time, and active listening is a key part of that process. By listening attentively, You show others that you value them, that you respect them, and that you care about what they have to say. Think about a time when you felt truly listened to. How did it affect your relationship with that person? Chances are you felt a stronger connection and more trust in them. That's the power of active listening. On the flip side, the cost of not listening can be steep. When you don't listen to someone, it communicates that their thoughts don't matter, that you don't value their input. Over time, this can erode relationships, create misunderstandings, and break down trust. When you don't listen, you miss out on the opportunity to truly connect with others, and when you stop connecting, you stop growing. Active listening helps you avoid these pitfalls by creating a space where real communication can happen, where both people are truly heard and understood. The beauty of active listening is that it's not reserved for just big, important conversations. You don't need a special meeting or a heartfelt conversation to practice this skill. You can start right now in your everyday interactions with friends, family, and colleagues. Practice active listening in small moments, when someone is telling you about their day, when your coworker shares an idea, when your friend talks about their challenges. The more you practice, the easier it becomes, and the more natural it will feel to engage in deep, meaningful conversations. Active listening doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, it becomes a habit, a skill that will improve your communication in every area of your life. The more you listen, the better you'll understand, and the more you'll connect with those around you. So, what's the next step? Start listening, not just with your ears, but with your whole presence. Stop waiting for your turn to speak. Stop assuming you know what the other person is going to say. Listen with intention. Listen with your heart. Listen to understand, not just to respond. And as you practice this, watch how your relationships and communication skills transform. Active listening is the foundation of connection, and it's the first step to becoming the communicator you want to be. Now that we've explored active listening, let's move to another essential aspect of communication: eye contact. It might seem simple, but maintaining eye contact is one of the most powerful tools you have for connecting with others. It's a silent yet profound way to show respect, build trust, and demonstrate that you're fully engaged in the conversation. Think about a time when you were talking to someone and they maintained steady eye contact with you. It probably made you feel seen, heard, and understood, right? Eye contact communicates more than just attention. It conveys confidence, sincerity, and openness. It's one of the most direct ways to establish a connection, and it works even when words fail. When you make eye contact, you're doing more than just looking at someone's eyes. You're creating a bridge. You're inviting the other person to connect with you on a deeper level. It says, "I'm here with you. I'm listening to you. I'm interested in what you have to say." That's why people who maintain good eye contact are often seen as more trustworthy and approachable. Eye contact is deeply tied to trust. When you look someone in the eyes, it signals that you are honest, present, and fully engaged. It's hard to fake genuine eye contact. People can tell when your eyes are darting around the room or when you're avoiding looking at them. This can send the message that you're not interested or that you're hiding something. On the flip side, if you maintain steady and natural eye contact, it shows the other person that you're comfortable being present and transparent with them. In business, maintaining eye contact is often a sign of authority and confidence. When a leader or colleague makes eye contact during a conversation, it signals that they are fully invested in the exchange, ready to take ownership, and open to dialogue. It helps others feel comfortable and valued, and it fosters a sense of mutual respect. Now, if you're someone who finds it difficult to maintain eye contact, you're not alone. Many people struggle with this, whether it's due to nervousness, insecurity, or simply not knowing how to strike the right balance. But just like any other communication skill, it can be developed with practice. If you're feeling awkward about eye contact, start by practicing in low-pressure situations. For example, try maintaining eye contact with a cashier or a colleague when they're speaking to you. You don't have to stare them down. Just hold their gaze for a few seconds longer than usual, and you'll begin to feel more comfortable. As you practice, it will start to feel more natural, and before you know it, eye contact will become an automatic part of your communication style. Remember, eye contact doesn't have to be constant. It's about balance. You don't need to stare someone down for an entire conversation. Instead, look them in the eyes, then break away naturally, looking away occasionally or glancing at their mouth or other features. This helps to avoid the feeling of staring or intimidating the person. The key is to strike a balance that feels comfortable for both you and the other person. One of the most powerful aspects of eye contact is its ability to help you gauge how the other person is feeling. Their eyes can tell you a lot about their emotions, whether they're excited, confused, interested, or uncomfortable. By paying attention to these cues, you can adjust your message or tone accordingly, ensuring that the conversation remains engaging and productive. For example, if you notice that the person you're speaking to looks disengaged or uncomfortable, you can adjust your approach by asking more questions or changing the subject to something they are more passionate about. Eye contact gives you immediate, non-verbal feedback that can help guide your communication and ensure that both parties feel heard and understood. In times of disagreement or tension, eye contact plays a crucial role in maintaining a calm and respectful exchange. When you're in a heated discussion, avoiding eye contact can make the situation feel even more tense, as it may signal defensiveness or avoidance. But when you maintain steady eye contact, it shows that you are engaged and willing to hear the other person out. Good eye contact during conflict resolution can help de-escalate the situation, as it signals to both parties that they are approaching the discussion with honesty and respect. It's also a sign of strength and self-assurance, showing that you are not afraid of the confrontation, but are open to resolving the issue calmly and with mutual understanding. While eye contact is generally viewed as a positive communication tool, it's important to recognize that it can have different meanings in different cultures. In some cultures, maintaining eye contact is seen as a sign of respect and attentiveness, while in others, it can be perceived as rude or confrontational. For example, in certain Asian cultures, avoiding direct eye contact is a sign of deference, particularly in the presence of authority figures. When communicating with people from different cultural backgrounds, it's essential to be aware of how eye contact is perceived. If you are unsure about the cultural norms, it's always a good idea to observe how the other person behaves and adjust your approach accordingly. As you continue to practice maintaining eye contact in your conversations, you'll notice several benefits. First, it will help you build stronger connections with others. People appreciate feeling seen, and eye contact is one of the quickest ways to demonstrate that you are genuinely interested in what they have to say. Second, eye contact will increase your confidence. The more you engage in this simple but powerful act, the more you'll start to feel comfortable with it. You'll find yourself standing taller, speaking more clearly, and engaging with others on a deeper level. Over time, this will make your interactions more effective and impactful, both in personal and professional settings. Lastly, the more you use eye contact, the easier it becomes to read the reactions of others. This will help you respond more thoughtfully, making your communication even more effective, whether you're giving a presentation, negotiating a deal, or having a personal conversation. Eye contact will help you create a dynamic interaction where both you and the other person feel connected and understood. Eye contact is a simple yet profound tool in communication. It builds trust, shows respect, and invites deeper connection. It can be uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to making eye contact. But with practice, it will become second nature. When you look someone in the eyes, you signal to them that they are important, that you are present, and that you are fully engaged in the conversation. So, the next time you're speaking with someone, whether a friend, a colleague, or a stranger, remember to make eye contact. It's one of the easiest, most powerful ways to communicate. And as you practice, you'll find that it transforms the quality of your conversations and builds stronger, more meaningful relationships. By now, we've covered active listening and the power of eye contact, two of the most fundamental aspects of effective communication. But there's another key element that plays a huge role in your ability to connect with others: how you express yourself. In particular, how you think before you speak can make all the difference. This might seem simple, but the truth is, most of us speak too quickly, without considering the full impact of our words. So, what does it mean to pause and think before speaking? It's the ability to slow down and organize your thoughts before they spill out of your mouth. It's about taking a brief moment to gather your thoughts, ensuring that what you're about to say is clear, purposeful, and aligned with your intentions. Sounds easy, right? But for many, it's one of the hardest habits to master. We've all been in situations where we've said something in the heat of the moment and immediately regretted it. That's what happens when we speak without thinking. We let our emotions take over, and our words come out rushed, unclear, and sometimes even hurtful. But the good news is that thinking before you speak is something you can learn. And once you get into the habit of doing it, you'll find that your communication becomes much more effective. You'll speak with more confidence, more clarity, and more precision. And the best part? You'll avoid those awkward moments of having to backtrack or apologize for something you've said. Clear communication starts with clear thinking. It's not enough to just have the words. You need to have a clear, organized thought process behind them. When you pause to think before speaking, you're not just giving yourself a chance to articulate your message better. You're also giving yourself the space to reflect on how your words might affect the other person. In moments of high emotion, it's easy to speak impulsively. But taking that extra second to pause can make all the difference between saying something that builds understanding and saying something that leads to confusion or conflict. For example, let's say you're in a meeting and a colleague proposes an idea that you immediately disagree with. Without thinking, you might blurt out, "That's a terrible idea." But if you pause and take a breath, you might find a more constructive way to express your disagreement. Like, "Oh, I see where you're coming from, but here's another way to look at it." The difference here isn't just in the words, it's in the tone, the intention, and the overall impact of what's being communicated. By pausing before you speak, you give yourself the time to consider the best approach to a conversation. You'll be able to decide what you truly want to convey and whether it's the right time and place for that message. This extra step leads to more thoughtful, respectful, and productive interactions. Here's the thing, taking a pause doesn't mean you're being slow or indecisive. In fact, silence is a powerful tool in communication. When you pause before speaking, you not only give yourself time to think, but you also give the other person time to process what's been said. It creates space for reflection, for deeper understanding, and for more meaningful exchanges. For example, in a conversation, after someone has said something important, don't feel pressured to immediately respond. Give it a moment of silence, just a few seconds, to let the words sink in. This simple practice can completely transform the flow of a conversation, allowing both you and the other person to reflect on what's been said and think about how best to respond. In fact, some of the most powerful conversations are those that are punctuated by thoughtful pauses. Silence allows for connection and deeper consideration. It shows that you're listening, that you're engaged, and that you respect the other person's words enough to give them the time they deserve. Thinking before speaking is especially crucial when emotions are running high, when we're angry, frustrated, or upset. It's easy to lash out or say things we don't mean. We've all been there, saying something in the heat of the moment that we immediately regret. But here's the thing. You don't have to let your emotions control your words. By pausing and taking a moment to breathe, you can regain control over your response. Let's say you're in a heated discussion with a friend or coworker. They've said something that triggers you, and your immediate instinct is to snap back at them. Instead, you pause, you take a deep breath, you think about what you want to say, and more importantly, how you want to say it. In that moment, the pause allows you to choose your response thoughtfully. Maybe you still disagree, but you're able to express your opinion without attacking the other person. And that changes everything. This isn't just about controlling negative emotions, it's about empowering yourself to communicate more effectively. When you allow yourself a moment to pause, you're giving yourself the space to choose a response that is intentional, measured, and productive. You're not reacting impulsively, you're responding consciously, which leads to better outcomes for you and the people you're communicating with. The ability to think before you speak is also tied to your own internal clarity. When you're clear about your own thoughts, your message becomes clearer to others. If you don't fully understand what you want to say, how can you expect anyone else to understand it? That's why it's important to get clear with yourself before you speak. Ask yourself, what is my goal in this conversation? What do I want to achieve with this message? Before jumping into a conversation, take a moment to reflect on your objectives. Are you trying to convey a solution? Are you giving feedback? Are you simply sharing your thoughts or feelings? When you understand your own goals, you can communicate more clearly, which reduces the chances of confusion or misinterpretation. When you pause and think before speaking, your responses become more deliberate. They carry more weight because they are grounded in intention. Instead of rattling off your opinion without much thought, you're crafting a response that is purposeful, meaningful, and appropriate for the situation. Thoughtful responses allow you to communicate in a way that creates impact, fosters understanding, and strengthens relationships. For instance, in a work setting, instead of reacting impulsively to feedback, pausing allows you to process the information, reflect on it, and respond in a way that contributes positively to the conversation. Instead of defensiveness or frustration, you might say, "I appreciate your perspective, and I'll take that into account moving forward." This response is clear, respectful, and constructive, qualities that make for excellent communication, just like any skill. Thinking before you speak requires practice. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. It starts with being mindful in your conversations, making a conscious effort to pause and reflect before responding. Over time, this habit becomes second nature, and you'll find that your communication is clearer, more effective, and more impactful. As you continue practicing this habit, you'll notice that your conversations flow more smoothly. You'll have fewer misunderstandings, fewer regrets about things you've said, and more confidence in your ability to express yourself. Most importantly, you'll be able to foster deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Thinking before you speak is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to improve your communication. It allows you to communicate with more clarity, confidence, and intention. It helps you avoid misunderstandings and conflicts, and it makes your conversations more meaningful and productive. So, the next time you find yourself in a conversation, take a moment to pause, breathe, and think about what you really want to say. Your words will have more impact, and you'll be able to communicate in a way that truly connects with others. We've already explored the power of active listening, eye contact, and thinking before speaking. But there's another key ingredient that can transform your communication: the way you express your ideas. Too often, people overcomplicate their language, trying to sound more sophisticated, more knowledgeable, or more impressive, when in fact, the best communicators are the ones who can simplify complex ideas. So, how do you turn something complicated into something clear and easy to understand? It all starts with using simple words. When it comes to communication, simplicity is often the most powerful tool you can use. Think about the most engaging speakers you've heard. Chances are they didn't use convoluted phrases or jargon to get their point across. Instead, they chose words that were easy to grasp, making their message clear and relatable. Simple language helps you connect with your audience because it eliminates the barriers of confusion and misinterpretation. The clearer you can express an idea, the easier it is for people to understand, and the more likely they are to take action based on what you say. Many of us have been guilty of overcomplicating our language at some point. Maybe you've used jargon or big words in an attempt to sound more knowledgeable, or perhaps you've tried to explain something complex in a way that ended up being confusing instead of clarifying. While the intention might be good, the result is often the opposite. Using overly complex language can alienate your audience. It can make them feel like they're missing something, or worse, like they're not smart enough to understand. Take a moment to think about a time when you heard someone use language that left you feeling lost or frustrated. Maybe they used a lot of technical terms or spoke in long, convoluted sentences. How did that make you feel? Likely, it made you disconnect from the conversation because you couldn't fully follow what they were saying. The same thing happens when you overcomplicate your language. People will struggle to keep up, and ultimately, your message won't land as effectively. This doesn't mean you should dumb down your message, but rather focus on expressing complex ideas in a way that anyone can understand. Simplicity doesn't take away from the importance of the message. It enhances it. It allows you to connect with your audience on a deeper level, making your communication more accessible, impactful, and memorable. So, how can you simplify complex ideas? The first step is to focus on clarity. Identify the core message you want to communicate. What is the most important point you need your audience to understand? Once you know that, break it down into simple terms, avoiding unnecessary jargon and complicated phrases. Think about how you would explain it to a friend or family member who has no background in the topic. If you can make it clear to them, you've likely found the simplest, most effective way to express your idea. For example, let's say you're explaining a complex scientific concept to a non-expert. Instead of using technical terms like photosynthesis or chlorophyll absorption rates, try breaking it down into a simple analogy. Plants use sunlight to make their own food, like how we use energy from food to fuel our bodies. This simplifies the concept while still conveying the essential idea. The result? Your audience is more likely to understand and engage with the message because it's been made accessible. One of the most effective ways to simplify complex ideas is by using analogies and examples. Analogies help make abstract concepts tangible by comparing them to something familiar. They create a mental image that allows people to connect the unfamiliar with the familiar, making it easier to understand. Think about the way a teacher might explain a difficult concept to a child. Instead of just explaining the science behind electricity, they might compare it to water flowing through pipes. Electricity flows like water through pipes. The wires are the pipes, and the electrical current is the water. This simple analogy makes the concept of electricity much easier to grasp, even for someone with no technical background. You can use this technique in your everyday conversations, too. Whenever you're explaining something complex, ask yourself, how can I relate this to something people already know or experience? How can I paint a picture that makes the idea more tangible? Another way to simplify complex ideas is by organizing your thoughts clearly before speaking. This doesn't just mean choosing simple words. It means structuring your message in a way that is logical and easy to follow. Start by outlining the key points you want to make, and then present them in a clear step-by-step manner. For instance, if you're giving a presentation or explaining a process, begin by laying out the key steps. Start with an overview. Then break each step down in a simple and straightforward way. Don't jump around from point to point. Give your audience a clear path to follow, just like you would when guiding someone through a map. For example, instead of saying, "You need to be aware of the various aspects of the situation," which include monitoring the data trends and considering the environmental variables, you could say, "First, we'll look at the data. Then, we'll think about the environment. And finally, we'll make decisions based on both." This structure allows your audience to follow the process without getting lost in the details. Another key element of simplifying communication is brevity. In a world where people are constantly bombarded with information, less is often more. If you can express a thought in fewer words, you're more likely to capture your audience's attention and keep them engaged. Avoid long-winded explanations that bury your main point under unnecessary details. Instead, focus on getting to the heart of your message quickly and efficiently. Consider the difference between a long, rambling email and a short, direct one. The short one is more likely to be read and acted upon because it's easy to digest. The long one, on the other hand, may be skipped over or ignored because it feels overwhelming. The same principle applies to conversations. People appreciate when you get to the point without adding unnecessary fluff. This doesn't mean you should be abrupt or cold. It simply means being clear and concise in your delivery. Simple communication, it doesn't just mean cutting down the number of words. It also means expressing your ideas in a way that resonates emotionally with your audience. When you use simple, clear language, it allows the emotion behind your message to shine through. People connect with emotions much more strongly than they do with intellectual explanations. So, if you're passionate about your idea, let that passion show in your words. Use simple language to convey your excitement, your frustration, or your hope. It will make your message more powerful and memorable. For instance, instead of saying, "This issue is very frustrating, and I think we should look at potential solutions," try saying, "I'm really frustrated by this, and I think we need to fix it now." The second statement is simple, but it's much more emotionally charged, which makes it more compelling and engaging. When you simplify your language, you make your message more accessible, which means you're more likely to be understood. This leads to greater connection and less confusion. You also increase your ability to influence and inspire others because your message is clear and easy to act on. Simple communication allows you to focus on what really matters, cutting out distractions and getting to the heart of the conversation. Whether you're giving a presentation, having a one-on-one conversation, or writing an email, remember that the simpler your message, the more likely it is to be understood, remembered, and acted upon. Simplicity is the key to powerful communication. And the best communicators are the ones who can turn complex ideas into something anyone can understand. Simplicity in communication isn't about dumbing down your message. It's about making it accessible. It's about breaking down complex ideas into their most fundamental components and expressing them in a way that anyone can understand. When you focus on simplicity, you remove barriers to understanding, foster deeper connections, and make your message more impactful. So, the next time you're faced with explaining something complex, think about how you can simplify it. What's the core message? What words can you use that anyone can grasp? And how can you make sure your audience not only hears, but understands what you're saying? The simpler your communication, the stronger your connection. In the world of communication, the questions we ask can make all the difference in the quality of our conversations. Often, we ask questions to gather information, to confirm something we already know, or simply to move the conversation along. But there's a different kind of question, the open-ended question, that invites deeper engagement and fosters more meaningful exchanges. And when you start asking the right kinds of questions, your conversations will transform. If you want to create real connections, you need to learn the art of asking open-ended questions. These types of questions don't just have a yes or no answer. They open the door to reflection, exploration, and dialogue. They give the other person the opportunity to share more about themselves, their thoughts, and their feelings. And that's where true communication happens. Why do open-ended questions matter? It's simple. They invite the other person to share more. They don't just skim the surface. They dive deeper into the emotions, the experiences, and the ideas that shape someone's perspective. The more you practice asking open-ended questions, the more you'll realize how powerful they are for creating authentic, meaningful connections. Let's compare two different types of questions. First, a closed question. Did you have a good day? This question only allows for a brief response, either a yes or a no. It's transactional, and it doesn't leave much room for deeper conversation. Now, let's try an open-ended question. What was the best part of your day? This question invites the other person to reflect and share more. It opens up the floor for them to express themselves fully, which allows for a richer conversation. Closed questions can leave conversations feeling shallow. They limit the response and create a kind of a back and forth that doesn't lead anywhere meaningful. But open-ended questions change that. They create an environment where both parties are actively engaged, where the conversation becomes a true exchange of thoughts and ideas. One of the greatest benefits of open-ended questions is that they encourage reflection. When you ask someone to elaborate on their thoughts or experiences, you give them the space to process and articulate what they really feel. This can lead to new insights, more in-depth conversations, and even personal growth for both the speaker and the listener. Think about it. When you ask someone, "How did that make you feel?" or "What was going through your mind when that happened?" you're inviting them to explore their own emotions and experiences. These types of questions encourage people to slow down and think about what's really going on inside them. And when they can articulate that, the connection between you both deepens. Asking open-ended questions also encourages empathy. It shows that you're genuinely interested in the other person's perspective, not just looking for a quick answer. It communicates that you care about their thoughts and feelings and are willing to listen. This builds trust and rapport, making the conversation feel more meaningful and authentic. Open-ended questions don't just promote personal connection, they can also encourage creativity and problem-solving in group settings, whether at work, school, or in any collaborative environment. Asking open-ended questions can spark new ideas, challenge assumptions, and stimulate creative thinking. For example, instead of asking, "Is this the right approach?" you could ask, "What other approaches might work for this situation?" This question invites the group to think critically and creatively, opening the door to fresh ideas and new perspectives. It moves the conversation from a fixed, limited mindset to an open, expansive one. Asking, "What's the potential impact of this decision?" or "How can we make this work better?" engages people in problem solving. Rather than just providing answers, it encourages them to consider various angles, collaborate, and come up with innovative solutions. Open-ended questions create a space where people feel empowered to think, explore, and contribute. One of the most powerful applications of open-ended questions is in difficult or high-stakes conversations. Whether you're dealing with a disagreement, a conflict, or a sensitive issue, the way you ask questions can make a huge difference in how the conversation unfolds. For example, let's say you're having a disagreement with a colleague about how to approach a project. Instead of saying, "Why don't you understand my point of view?" try asking, "Can you tell me more about your perspective on this?" This question shifts the tone of the conversation from confrontation to collaboration. It opens the door for the other person to explain their point of view, and it shows that you are genuinely interested in understanding where they're coming from. In conflict, open-ended questions allow both parties to express their feelings without putting anyone on the defensive. Instead of accusing someone of being wrong or misunderstood, you're inviting them to share their thoughts and emotions, which encourages a more empathetic and constructive dialogue. Asking open-ended questions is just one part of the equation. The real magic happens when you listen deeply to the response. Open-ended questions create space for the other person to share more, but your response is what solidifies the connection. When someone answers an open-ended question, don't just nod along and wait for your turn to speak. Engage with what they've said. Reflect on their answer and ask follow-up questions that show you're truly listening. For example, if someone shares their thoughts on a difficult decision they made, you could ask, "What was the most challenging part of that for you?" Or, "How did you feel after making that decision?" These follow-up questions show that you are invested in understanding them, and they deepen the conversation. Now that you understand the power of open-ended questions, let's look at some examples you can start using today. What led you to that conclusion? Can you share more about your experience with that? How did that make you feel? What was the most surprising part of that experience? What do you think we should do next? How do you see this situation from your perspective? What other options are we not considering? What would you like to see happen here? What's been the biggest lesson you've learned from this? These types of questions allow for deeper exploration and help create a dynamic, engaging conversation. Whether you're speaking with friends, family, or coworkers, these open-ended questions will help you build stronger, more authentic connections. Open-ended questions are the key to unlocking deeper, more meaningful conversations. They invite others to share more of themselves and create a space for real dialogue to unfold. The next time you find yourself in a conversation, try asking a few open-ended questions. Notice how the conversation shifts. Notice how people begin to open up and share more deeply. As you get comfortable with this technique, you'll find that your relationships grow stronger, your communication becomes more powerful, and your ability to connect with others increases exponentially. Start practicing open-ended questions today, and watch as your conversations become more fulfilling, insightful, and impactful. We've discussed several ways to improve your communication skills so far, active listening, making eye contact, thinking before speaking, and asking open-ended questions. But here's something that might surprise you. One of the most powerful tools you can use to enhance your communication skills is something many of us avoid: recording yourself. At first, the idea of hearing your own voice can be uncomfortable. Most people don't love the sound of their voice when it's played back to them. It can feel awkward or even cringeworthy. But the truth is, listening to recordings of yourself can provide valuable insights that you can't get just from thinking about your communication. When you record yourself, you become your own observer. You can hear exactly what others hear, and that objectivity allows you to make improvements that will elevate your communication. Let's take a deeper look at why recording yourself is so effective and how it can help you become a more confident and clear communicator. Recording yourself is a game changer because it allows you to see and hear your communication from an external perspective. Think about it. We're often too close to our own communication to notice certain habits, patterns, or mistakes. We might be unaware of how fast we speak, how often we use filler words like "mia" or "like," or how our tone fluctuates. When you listen to a recording, you hear yourself as others do. You might be surprised by what you hear. For example, do you tend to speak too quickly when you're nervous or excited? Maybe you've never noticed it until you listen to a recording of yourself. Or perhaps you realize that your tone is flat or monotonous, which could be causing your audience to lose interest. These are the kinds of insights you can only gain by recording yourself. It removes the bias of self-perception and allows you to focus on areas that need improvement. One of the most useful aspects of recording yourself is that it helps you identify communication habits that you might not even be aware of. Perhaps you repeat the same phrases too often, or you have a tendency to over-explain. Maybe you speak too quickly in some parts of your speech and too slowly in others, making it harder for people to follow your point. These are all things you can catch when you listen to a recording of yourself. The key here is to approach the recording with an open mind and a willingness to improve. When you listen to the playback, focus on the specific areas where you think you can do better. Are you clear in your explanations? Are your points well structured? Are you maintaining a good pace? Take notes on what you hear and write down specific things you want to improve, like reducing filler words, speaking at a more consistent pace, making your tone more engaging, keeping your sentences concise. The more you listen and reflect, the more you'll start to notice patterns in your speech, both positive and negative. And this awareness is the first step to improving your communication. Another powerful benefit of recording yourself is that it builds self-awareness. Self-awareness is a key component of emotional intelligence and effective communication. When you are aware of your strengths and weaknesses, you can adjust your approach to communication in real time. This awareness also boosts your confidence. Many people struggle with public speaking or even one-on-one conversations because they lack confidence in how they sound. Listening to yourself on tape allows you to hear your voice in a more objective way, which helps you feel more in control of how you communicate. You'll start to notice the areas where you're doing well, and you can build on those strengths. For example, maybe you have a natural ability to emphasize key points, but you're unsure of how to project your voice. The recording can give you the clarity you need to focus on improving that particular aspect of your communication. So, how can you use recording to actually improve your communication? Here's a step-by-step guide. Mehrständer, choose your content. Decide on what you want to work on. Are you preparing for a presentation, practicing for an interview, or simply trying to improve the way you speak in everyday conversations? The content you choose will dictate the way you approach the recording. You can record yourself talking about a topic, giving a speech, or even practicing answers to potential interview questions. 2. Record yourself. Use your phone, computer, or any recording device to capture your speech. Don't worry about making it perfect. Key. The goal is to just speak naturally, as you would in a normal conversation. Try to keep your delivery as authentic as possible. The more natural you're recording, the more accurate your feedback will be. 3. Listen to the playback. Once you've recorded yourself, play it back. Listen carefully to the pacing, tone, and clarity of your speech. Pay attention to any filler words you use or moments where your message is unclear. Does your tone sound confident? Are you speaking too quickly or too slowly? Do you sound engaged with what you're saying? 4. Analyze and reflect after listening. Take a few notes on what you heard. What worked well? What didn't? Focus on specific areas that need improvement. For example, you might notice that you tend to speak too quickly in certain parts. So, you'll want to focus on slowing down. Or you might find that you use or like frequently, and now you can work on eliminating those filler words. 5. Make adjustments and record again. After identifying areas for improvement, make adjustments in your delivery. For example, you might decide to slow down your speaking pace or work on your breath control to sound more confident. Then, record yourself again. The more you practice, the more improvements you'll make. And at 6, seek feedback from others. While recording yourself is an excellent way to gain self-awareness, it's also helpful to get feedback from others. Share your recordings with a trusted friend, colleague, or mentor, and ask for constructive criticism. They might notice things that you missed, and their feedback can guide your progress even further. 7. Keep practicing. Improving communication is a continuous process, and recording yourself should be a regular part of your practice. The more you record, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. With each recording, you'll notice subtle improvements in your speech, and over time, your communication skills will become more polished and impactful. It's perfectly normal to feel awkward or uncomfortable listening to your own voice at first. Most people experience this, after all. It's not something we're accustomed to hearing, but the more you record and listen, the more you'll get used to it. In fact, you'll start to appreciate the insights that the recordings provide. They give you a unique opportunity to hear your voice from the perspective of your audience. And here's a tip. Don't judge yourself too harshly when you listen. Instead of focusing on how you sound, focus on the areas where you can improve. No one gets it perfect on the first try. So be kind to yourself and treat this process as an opportunity to grow. Recording yourself is one of the most effective ways to improve your communication skills. It helps you gain self-awareness, identify areas for improvement, and build confidence. By listening to your recordings, you can hear your own habits, refine your delivery, and start making conscious adjustments that will elevate your communication. It's a practice that will pay off in both your personal and professional life, allowing you to communicate more clearly, confidently, and effectively. So, grab your phone or recording device and start practicing today. Record yourself, listen to the playback, and use it as a tool for growth. As you continue to practice, you'll notice that your communication improves, your confidence rises, and your ability to connect with others becomes stronger than ever. As we continue to explore how to become a better communicator, it's important to recognize that communication is not only about what we say, it's also about how we say it. The body speaks louder than words, and your body language can either reinforce or contradict your verbal messages. It can make your communication more engaging, or it can create confusion and disconnect. Understanding and mastering body language is crucial to effective communication. And in this section, we'll explore how to use your body to strengthen your message. We've all heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. And it's true in communication. Your body language, the way you move, gesture, and position yourself sends powerful signals to the people you're communicating with. In fact, studies suggest that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal, with body language accounting for a large portion of that. So, even if you're saying all the right things, your body might be saying something entirely different. Imagine you're in a meeting, speaking passionately about an idea, but your posture is slouched and you're avoiding eye contact. What message do you think people will receive? While your words may convey enthusiasm, your body language may suggest disinterest or lack of confidence. On the other hand, if you stand tall, make eye contact, and use purposeful gestures, your message will be much stronger and more credible. Body language either reinforces your words or undermines them, and it's up to you to make sure they align. One of the most powerful ways to use body language to your advantage is through posture. Your posture reflects how you feel about yourself and how you want others to perceive you. Standing or sitting up straight communicates confidence and self-assurance. When you maintain an open and relaxed posture, people are more likely to engage with you, trust you, and listen to what you have to say. On the other hand, closed or defensive postures, such as crossing your arms or slouching, can signal discomfort, insecurity, or lack of interest. These body language cues can create a barrier between you and your audience, making it harder for them to connect with you or take you seriously. Even if you're speaking eloquently, an overly tense or closed posture can send the wrong message. So, next time you're in a conversation, pay attention to how you're sitting or standing. Are your arms open, or are they crossed? Are you leaning forward, signaling engagement? Or are you leaning back, signaling disinterest? By consciously adjusting your posture to be more open and confident, you'll start to notice how people respond to you. Gestures are another important aspect of body language that can help you communicate more effectively. When you use your hands to emphasize key points, you make your message more engaging and memorable. Gestures help paint a mental picture for the listener, adding energy and emotion to what you're saying. However, like posture, gestures need to be purposeful and controlled. Excessive or meaningless hand movements can be distracting, making you appear less confident or inauthentic. On the other hand, small, deliberate gestures, such as using your hands to illustrate a point or emphasize a key idea, can make your words more powerful. For example, when you're explaining something complex, you might use your hands to show the flow of a process or to break down different components of an idea. This not only helps your audience understand better, but it also makes you seem more confident and in control of the conversation. Your face is one of the most expressive parts of your body, and your facial expressions reveal a great deal about your emotions and intentions. When you communicate, your face should match the emotions behind your words. A smile when you're talking about something positive, or a furrowed brow when you're discussing a challenge, makes your communication feel more genuine and relatable. Think about how much more effective it is to hear someone say, "I'm really excited about this," while smiling and showing enthusiasm, compared to someone saying the same words with a neutral or bored expression. The first person's message is amplified by the emotion behind it, while the second person's message falls flat because their expression doesn't match the words. Similarly, if you're speaking about a difficult topic, your facial expression should reflect the seriousness of the conversation. A blank or inappropriate expression can make you seem disengaged, uninterested, or even insincere. Paying attention to your facial expressions allows you to align your emotions with your message, creating a more authentic and impactful connection with your audience. We've already touched on eye contact in previous sections, but it's so important that it deserves another look. Eye contact is a critical part of nonverbal communication. It builds trust, establishes connection, and shows that you're engaged with the person in front of you. When you maintain good eye contact, you signal to the other person that they have your full attention. This builds rapport and helps you establish a sense of trust and respect. However, it's important not to overdo it. Staring at someone too intensely can make them uncomfortable. Instead, aim for a natural balance where you hold their gaze for a few seconds before breaking it occasionally. If you're speaking to a group, eye contact is equally important. Try to make eye contact with everyone in the room, not just one person. This creates a sense of inclusivity and ensures that your message resonates with your entire audience. Mirroring is a technique where you subtly mimic the body language of the person you're speaking with. It can be an incredibly powerful way to build rapport and create a sense of connection. When you mirror someone's posture, gestures, or facial expressions, it shows them that you're in sync with them, that you are listening, and that you share a common understanding. For example, if the person you're speaking to is leaning forward with interest, you might also lean forward to mirror their body language. If they are speaking with their hands, you might naturally start using your own hands to express yourself. Mirroring helps establish a sense of empathy and mutual understanding, and it can make conversations feel more natural and comfortable. Of course, it's important to be subtle with this technique. You don't want to mimic someone's body language too obviously, as it could come off as insincere or awkward. Instead, try to reflect their body language in a way that feels natural and in harmony with the flow of the conversation. In difficult conversations or conflicts, body language plays an especially important role. During tense moments, nonverbal cues can either escalate or de-escalate the situation. For example, if someone is angry or upset, maintaining an open posture using calm gestures and making gentle eye contact can help create a sense of safety and openness. On the other hand, if you cross your arms, avoid eye contact, or display defensive body language, it can make the other person feel unheard or unimportant, leading to more tension. In high-stakes conversations, try to keep your body language open, relaxed, and attentive. This signals that you are willing to listen and resolve the issue, rather than escalating it. Your body language is one of the most powerful tools you have in communication. It speaks volumes without you ever having to say a word. Whether you're engaging in a casual conversation, delivering a presentation, or navigating a conflict, paying attention to your posture, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact can elevate your communication and help you connect more deeply with others. The next time you communicate, remember that your body is always sending a message. Are you reinforcing your words with confident, open body language? Are you using your gestures and expressions to amplify your message? Are you using eye contact to build trust? When you align your body language with your words, your communication becomes more powerful, authentic, and impactful. And so, practice using purposeful body language every day. Stand tall, use meaningful gestures, make eye contact, and reflect emotions with your facial expressions. As you become more attuned to how your body communicates, you'll find that your connections with others grow stronger and more genuine. One of the most important aspects of communication is how we sound when we speak. We may have the most well-organized thoughts and the most profound ideas, but if we don't express them clearly and effectively, they can easily be misunderstood or lost. This is where the practice of reading aloud comes in. It's a simple yet incredibly powerful tool to improve verbal clarity, pronunciation, pacing, and overall communication You might be wondering, why should you bother reading aloud? After all, it's just reading words off a page. The truth is, when you read aloud, you engage several parts of your brain, and the process is far more effective than simply reading silently. Reading aloud forces you to slow down and pay closer attention to how your words flow, how they sound, and whether they're coming out the way you intended. It's an exercise that can help you become a clearer, more confident communicator, whether you're speaking in public, talking with friends, or simply engaging in daily conversations. Let's start by taking a look at the many benefits of reading aloud. When you read aloud, you practice the muscles involved in speaking, from your vocal cords to your mouth and tongue. Just as physical exercise strengthens your body, reading aloud strengthens your speaking skills. But the benefits go beyond that. Let's explore a few of the key advantages. 1. Improved pronunciation and enunciation. And when you read aloud, you're forcing yourself to enunciate each word clearly. This helps to train your mouth and tongue to move more deliberately, making your speech more precise. It can help reduce mumbling, slurring, or speaking too quickly, all of which can hinder your ability to be understood. Over time, this practice will help you become more articulate and clear in everyday conversations, as well as more formal speaking situations. Better pacing and rhythm. Reading aloud also helps you become more aware of your pacing and rhythm when speaking. Many people tend to speak too quickly when they're nervous, excited, or unsure of themselves. This can make it difficult for others to follow the conversation. By practicing reading aloud, you can improve your ability to control your speaking speed, ensuring that your words come out at a pace that's comfortable and easy to follow. Increased confidence. One of the greatest benefits of reading aloud is that it boosts your confidence in your voice. For many people, hearing their own voice on a recording is uncomfortable, but when you practice reading aloud regularly, you become more accustomed to the sound of your own voice and more comfortable using it. This builds confidence and helps you feel more at ease when speaking in front of others, whether in a meeting, a presentation, or a casual conversation. 4. Heightened awareness of tone and emotion. When you read aloud, you naturally start paying attention to the tone and emotion behind the words. The words on the page are not just static. They carry emotion, intention, and meaning. By vocalizing them, you can experiment with different tones, volumes, and inflections. This will help you convey emotion in a way that makes your communication more engaging and relatable. Whether you're reading a story, an article, or a script, reading aloud helps you understand how to infuse your speech with the right tone to match the message. 5. Improved memory and comprehension. When you read aloud, you engage multiple senses, sight, hearing, and speech, which improves your retention of the material. This is particularly useful for memorizing speeches and presentations or other forms of spoken communication. By reading aloud, you're reinforcing the material in your mind, making it easier to recall when you need it. Reading aloud is a simple practice that anyone can start right now. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you begin. 1. Choose your material. Start with something that interests you, whether it's a book, an article, a speech, or even a poem. It should be something that captivates you, as this will make the practice more enjoyable and engaging. Pick a piece of material that's appropriate for your current skill level. You don't want it to be too difficult, but it should challenge you enough to practice your verbal skills. 2. Focus on clarity. As you read aloud, focus on enunciating each word clearly. Don't rush. Slow down and make sure each word is pronounced correctly. pay attention to the way your mouth moves and how your tongue and lips form each sound. If you find yourself stumbling over certain words, take the time to practice those sounds until you feel more confident. 3. Pay attention to pacing and rhythm. Keep an eye on your pacing. Are you speaking too fast? Too slow? Aim for a natural flow that's easy to follow. If you're reading something with dialogue, try to adjust your rhythm to match the emotional tone of the scene. Reading aloud helps you practice this dynamic pacing, which will make your speech sound more conversational and engaging in real-life situations. 4. Add expression and emotion. Don't just read the words, bring them to life. Use different tones, inflections, and pauses to match the emotion behind the text. If you're reading a motivational speech, pump up your energy. If it's a sad scene, slow your pace and soften your voice. Experiment with how your voice changes with different emotions and situations. 5. Record yourself if you can. Record yourself while reading aloud. This gives you the opportunity to listen to how you sound and pinpoint areas for improvement. You might notice that you speak too quickly or that your tone doesn't match the emotion of the words. Don't worry if you don't sound perfect. This is a process of improvement. By listening to your recordings, you'll be able to track your progress and adjust your delivery over time. 6. Consistency is key, like any other skill. The more you practice reading aloud, the better you'll get. Set aside time each day or several times a week to read aloud, and you'll start to see noticeable improvements in your clarity, confidence, and overall communication skills. Now that you know how to read aloud, let's talk about how to incorporate it into your daily routine. You don't have to reserve reading aloud for formal practice sessions. You can use it throughout your day. Read aloud in your daily routine. Read the news, emails, or even social media posts aloud. Use any opportunity to practice your speaking skills, whether it's reading an article at breakfast or reviewing a report at work. Practicing aloud in your day-to-day life helps reinforce the habit and improves your verbal skills. Practice with conversations. While reading aloud can be extremely beneficial, practicing in real conversations is equally important. So, when speaking to friends or colleagues, consciously apply the techniques you've practiced. Speak clearly, adjust your pacing, and add emotion to your tone. This will help you transition the skills you're building in reading aloud into more natural communication in everyday conversations. Reading aloud is a powerful tool that can transform your communication skills. It helps you improve clarity, pacing, pronunciation, and tone, all while building confidence in your voice. By practicing reading aloud regularly, you'll develop a stronger, more engaging speaking style that will enhance every conversation you have, whether casual or formal. So, what are you waiting for? Pick up something to read aloud today. Whether it's a chapter from a book, an article, or even a script for a presentation, the simple act of reading aloud can help you communicate with greater confidence, clarity, and impact. As we've seen so far, clear communication involves much more than just the words we say. It's about active listening, thoughtful pauses, body language, and delivering messages with clarity and confidence. But there's one more critical aspect of communication that we can't overlook: vocabulary. The words you choose directly influence how well you can express yourself. A strong, varied vocabulary allows you to convey your ideas with precision and impact, and it's a skill that you can continually refine. Expanding your vocabulary doesn't mean memorizing obscure words or using complex terms to sound sophisticated. Instead, it's about becoming more adept at choosing the right words for the situation, ensuring that you can articulate your thoughts clearly, and that your message resonates with your audience. The richer your vocabulary, the better equipped you are to express yourself with confidence and clarity. Whether you're in a casual conversation or giving a presentation, in this section, we'll discuss why expanding your vocabulary is essential, how to do it effectively, and the benefits it brings to your communication. Let's dive in. You might be wondering, why does a larger vocabulary matter so much in communication? It's simple. Words are the building blocks of thought. The more words you have at your disposal, the easier it is to express complex ideas, nuanced emotions, and precise details. A rich vocabulary allows you to select the perfect word for every situation, making your communication more effective and engaging. When your vocabulary is limited, you might find yourself relying on the same few words over and over again, which can make your communication feel repetitive and dull. Alternatively, you might struggle to find the right word to convey a specific idea, which can lead to confusion or misunderstandings. A broader vocabulary helps you overcome these obstacles, ensuring that you can always choose the most fitting and impactful words to express your thoughts. But expanding your vocabulary isn't just about having more words. It's about being able to choose the right ones at the right time. It's about finding the word that best captures the nuance of what you're trying to say, so your audience can clearly understand your message and engage with your ideas. Expanding your vocabulary is an ongoing process. It's not something that happens overnight, but with consistent effort, it can become a natural part of your communication style. Here are several strategies you can use to expand your vocabulary and improve your communication. Number 1, read widely and regularly. One of the best ways to expand your vocabulary is by reading. The more you read, the more words you'll encounter, and the more likely you are to internalize them. But it's not just about reading anything. It's about reading widely and diversely. Try to read books, articles, essays, and reports across different genres and topics. This will expose you to a variety of writing styles and vocabulary, and you'll start to pick up new words in context. When you come across a word you don't know, take a moment to look it up and understand its meaning. Pay attention to how it's used in the sentence, and try to incorporate it into your own speech and writing. Over time, you'll start to notice that your vocabulary is expanding naturally. 2. Use a vocabulary journal. A vocabulary journal is a great way to keep track of the new words you learn. Whenever you come across a word you want to remember, write it down along with its definition and an example sentence. Revisit your journal regularly to reinforce these words in your memory. You can also include synonyms and antonyms for each word to help you understand the nuances of its meaning. For example, if you learn the word elucidate to make something clear, you might also write down synonyms like explain or clarify. This will help you build a broader range of vocabulary that you can use in different contexts. 3. Practice using new words. Expanding your vocabulary is one thing. Actually, using the new words you've learned is another. To solidify your vocabulary, make a conscious effort to incorporate new words into your daily conversations, writing, and presentations. The more you use a word, the more natural it will feel to incorporate it into your speech. Don't be afraid to experiment with new words, even if you're not 100% sure how to use them at first. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become with them, and over time, you'll be able to use them fluently and confidently. 4. Learn a word a day. One simple way to build your vocabulary is by learning a new word every day. There are several apps and websites that send you a word of the day that is complete with its definition and example sentences. If you commit to learning one new word every day, you'll have a broader vocabulary in no time. This method doesn't overwhelm you with too much information at once, and it allows you to gradually build your vocabulary over time. You can also create flashcards to help you remember the new words you're learning. Number 5. Engage in word games and exercises. There are many word games and exercises that can help you expand your vocabulary in a fun and interactive way. Crossword puzzles, word searches, Scrabble, or apps like Word of the Day are all excellent tools for improving your vocabulary. These activities challenge you to think about words in different ways, helping to reinforce your learning. Additionally, you can challenge yourself by writing essays or stories that incorporate new vocabulary words. This will not only improve your vocabulary, but also strengthen your ability to express ideas clearly and creatively. 6. Use context and clues to learn new words. Even when you don't have a dictionary or thesaurus nearby, you can often figure out the meaning of unfamiliar words by using context clues. When you come across an unknown word, pay attention to the surrounding words and sentences. This can help you infer the meaning of the word without having to look it up. For example, if you read, "The team's morale was high after the successful event, but when things started to go wrong, their spirits began to plummet." You can deduce that plummet means to fall or decrease rapidly. By practicing this technique, you can continue learning new words as you read without interrupting your flow. The real magic of a rich vocabulary is in its ability to allow you to connect more deeply with others. When you choose the right words, you are able to express yourself with more clarity, precision, and impact. Whether you're speaking with friends, presenting to colleagues, or giving a speech to a larger audience, the words you use matter. A strong vocabulary can help you be more persuasive. The right words can inspire, motivate, and persuade others to take action. Build stronger relationships. Clear communication allows people to understand you better, which leads to stronger bonds. Increase your credibility. A broad vocabulary shows that you are knowledgeable, articulate, and confident. Express yourself more creatively. With more words at your disposal, you'll be able to articulate your ideas in new, imaginative ways. Expanding your vocabulary is a continuous journey, and it's one that will benefit you for years to come. Whether you're just starting to build your vocabulary or you're looking for ways to strengthen what you already have, there are countless resources and techniques you can use to enhance your communication. The more words you know, the more powerful your communication will become. So, make vocabulary expansion a part of your daily routine, and you'll start to see improvements in your ability to communicate with clarity, confidence, and impact. By reading widely, practicing with new words, and engaging in word-building exercises, you'll gradually strengthen your vocabulary and take your communication skills to the next level. The more you invest in expanding your vocabulary, the more equipped you'll be to express yourself clearly, creatively, and persuasively. As we continue on this journey toward becoming a better communicator, we come to one of the most crucial practices: seeking feedback. Effective communication isn't just about what you say or how you say it. It's also about how others perceive your message. The ability to ask for and receive feedback allows you to grow, refine your skills, and adapt to the needs of your audience. It's a habit that turns good communicators into great ones, and it's one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. The importance of feedback cannot be overstated. It provides insight into what's working in your communication and, more importantly, what isn't. By seeking feedback from others, you're opening yourself up to learning and growth, both of which are essential for becoming a better communicator. But asking for feedback isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability, humility, and a willingness to listen. Feedback plays a vital role in improving your communication skills for several reasons. First and foremost, It provides you with an outside perspective. As communicators, we often get caught up in our own delivery, our tone, our words, our body language, and may miss the impact we're having on others. Feedback helps you see your communication through the eyes of your audience, which can be an eye-opening experience. For example, you might think you're speaking clearly and engagingly, but others may feel that your message is unclear or that your delivery lacks energy. Feedback highlights these blind spots, allowing you to make adjustments and refine your approach. Second, feedback gives you the opportunities to test different communication strategies. Not every approach works for every situation, and not every technique will resonate with every audience. By asking for feedback, you can learn what works and what doesn't, so you can adjust your communication style accordingly. Over time, this will help you develop a more versatile and adaptive communication skill set. Finally, feedback helps you build self-awareness. As you become more attuned to how others respond to your communication, you can make more conscious decisions about how you present yourself. This self-awareness is a crucial part of emotional intelligence and allows you to communicate more effectively in a variety of contexts. Asking for feedback is an art in itself. It's not enough to simply ask, "How did I do?" or "Do you have any feedback?" These vague requests often lead to equally vague answers. To make feedback more actionable and useful, it's important to be specific in your requests. Here are some tips for asking for feedback effectively. Newam. Be specific about what you want to know. Instead of asking a general question like, "Do you think I communicated well?" ask more targeted questions, such as, "Oh, did my main point come across clearly?" "Oh, was my tone engaging?" "Oh, do you think I was too fast, slow in delivering my message?" "Oh, were there any moments where I lost your attention?" By asking specific questions, you make it easier for others to provide focused and constructive feedback that can help you improve. 2. Ask for both positive and constructive feedback. It's important to ask for both positive and constructive feedback. Positive feedback helps reinforce what you're doing well, while constructive feedback gives you guidance on areas that need improvement. A good question to ask is, "What did you think worked well in my communication? And what could I improve?" This balanced approach allows you to acknowledge your strengths while focusing on areas for growth. 3. Be open and non-defensive. When receiving feedback, it's crucial to remain open and non-defensive. Remember, the goal is to learn and grow, not to argue or justify your actions. If someone offers feedback that feels critical, resist the urge to immediately defend yourself. Instead, listen carefully and reflect on what they're saying. Ask follow-up questions to clarify their feedback and thank them for their input. This approach will help you receive feedback more effectively and encourage others to give you honest, constructive criticism. Number 4, seek feedback regularly. Feedback should be an ongoing process, not just something you ask for once in a while. Make it a habit to seek feedback after presentations or meetings and important conversations. The more you ask for feedback, the more you'll learn about your communication style and the areas you need to improve. Regular feedback allows you to track your progress over time and make consistent improvements. 5. Act on the feedback you receive. Asking for feedback is only half the battle. The real work comes when you act on the feedback you receive. After reflecting on the feedback, identify the key areas for improvement and make a plan to address them. For example, if someone points out that you tend to speak too quickly during presentations, make a conscious effort to slow down and practice pacing. The more you incorporate feedback into your practice, the more noticeable your improvement will be. While asking for feedback is essential, it's equally important to create an environment where feedback is welcomed and appreciated. If you want others to be open and honest with you, you need to foster a culture of mutual respect and trust. Here are a few ways to create a feedback-friendly environment. Number 1, model the behavior. One of the best ways to encourage others to give you feedback is to model the behavior yourself. Be open to offering constructive feedback to others, and do so in a thoughtful and supportive way. When you demonstrate that feedback is valuable and that you're open to receiving it, others will be more likely to reciprocate. 2. Foster a growth mindset. Cultivate a growth mindset in yourself and in those around you. A growth mindset means that you see challenges and mistakes as opportunities for learning and growth rather than failures. When you embrace feedback as a tool for improvement, you create a culture where feedback is seen as a natural and valuable part of the communication process. 3. Create a safe and supportive atmosphere. Feedback can sometimes feel vulnerable, so it's important to create an environment where people feel safe to share their thoughts. Ensure that the atmosphere is supportive, where feedback is given with the intent to help and improve, not criticize or attack. This will encourage honest, open dialogue and make it easier for everyone to give and receive feedback. Receiving feedback is not just about making small, immediate adjustments to your communication. It's about committing to long-term growth over time. As you continue to seek feedback and act on it, you'll notice that your communication skills improve in more profound ways. You'll become more attuned to your audience's needs, more confident in your delivery, and more effective at conveying your message. Asking for feedback is a continuous cycle. It's not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of learning and refining your skills. As you build the habit of seeking feedback and acting on it, you'll find that your communication becomes more impactful, persuasive, and engaging. Ultimately, feedback helps you grow, not just as a communicator, but as a person. Seeking feedback is a powerful and essential practice for improving your communication skills. By being specific in your requests, remaining open to constructive criticism, and acting on the feedback you receive, you can continuously refine your communication style. Creating a feedback-friendly environment encourages growth and development for everyone involved. So, make feedback a regular part of your communication routine and watch as your skills improve over time. The more you seek feedback, the more you'll learn, and the better communicator you'll become. Embrace feedback as a tool for growth and use it to take your communication skills to the next level. In the journey of improving your communication, one of the most crucial factors is practice. As with any skill, regular practice is the key to mastery. Whether you're honing your listening skills, refining your body language, or working on your vocabulary, consistent practice transforms isolated actions into ingrained habits. These habits, in turn, will not only improve your communication, but will also make you more confident, more effective, and more engaging in every interaction. But here's the thing. Practicing communication isn't just about going through the motions. It's about intentional, mindful practice. It's about making a commitment to grow, to improve, and to apply everything you've learned so far in real everyday conversations. So, how can you start incorporating practice into your daily life? And how do you ensure that the practice you're doing leads to lasting change? Practice is essential for a few key reasons. First, it builds muscle memory. When you practice something repeatedly, your brain and body begin to recognize patterns, making it easier to perform those actions automatically. Whether it's pausing before speaking, maintaining eye contact, or using open-ended questions, consistent practice makes these behaviors second nature. Second practice allows you to experiment and refine. You can try different approaches, techniques, and styles in real-world situations to see what works best. Each time you practice, you'll learn something new about yourself and your communication style. You'll discover areas that need improvement, as well as areas where you excel. This feedback loop of practice, reflection, and improvement is what leads to real growth. Finally, practice helps you overcome any anxiety or hesitation you might feel. Many people struggle with communication because they're afraid of making mistakes or being judged. But the more you practice, the more you'll realize that mistakes are a natural part of learning. Each conversation is an opportunity to improve and get better. And the more you practice, the less fear you'll have about speaking up. Now that we know why practice is essential, let's discuss how to practice effectively. The key to success here is consistency and intentionality. Here are a few ways you can practice communication on a regular basis. Chapter 1. Practice with purpose. Every time you communicate, do so with purpose. Don't just speak for the sake of speaking. Be mindful of your goals. Are you trying to explain something clearly? Are you engaging in a debate or negotiation? Are you building rapport with someone? Whatever the situation, make sure you're practicing with intention. Focus on the specific skills you want to improve, whether it's your tone, your pacing, or your ability to listen actively. The more purpose you put into each interaction, the more progress you'll make. 2. Start small. Practice doesn't have to happen in big, high-stakes situations right away. Start small and build up. For example, practice active listening during casual conversations with friends or family. Experiment with pausing before you speak in low-pressure situations, like while ordering coffee or talking to a colleague. As you get more comfortable with these small interactions, gradually work your way up to more complex conversations, such as presenting in meetings or giving a speech. This incremental approach allows you to gain confidence and gradually improve without feeling overwhelmed. Start where you are and focus on making steady progress. 3. Record and reflect. As we discussed earlier, recording yourself is an excellent tool for improving your communication. It allows you to hear how you sound, notice areas where you can improve, and track your progress over time. Try recording yourself practicing different skills, such as speaking clearly, explaining a complex idea, or responding to an open-ended question. Afterward, listen to the recording, reflect on what went well, and identify areas for improvement. This reflection helps you see your growth and adjust your practice accordingly. Number 4. Practice in real-life situations. Practice doesn't have to be confined to formal exercises. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice the skills you're learning. Whether you're having a casual chat with a friend, making a presentation at work, or engaging in a heated discussion, use each situation as a chance to apply what you've learned. Keep track of how you're using your new skills, like active listening or open-ended questions, and assess how well they're working in different contexts. 5. Seek feedback. Don't forget the importance of feedback in the practice process. After practicing a new skill, ask for feedback from someone you trust. Whether it's a friend, coworker, or mentor, getting external feedback will give you new insights and help you identify areas where you can improve. The combination of self-reflection and feedback ensures that you're on the right track and making meaningful progress. 6. Embrace mistakes and learn from them. One of the most valuable aspects of practice is learning from your mistakes. It's important to understand that no one communicates perfectly all the time, and that's okay. Mistakes are opportunities for growth. If you stumble in a conversation, don't be hard on yourself. Instead, reflect on what went wrong and think about how you can approach the situation differently next time. With practice, you'll start to feel more comfortable with the natural ebb and flow of communication, and your confidence will grow. Number 7, set goals and track progress. Setting goals is an effective way to stay motivated and track your progress. Maybe your goal is to use more open-ended questions in your conversations, or to practice slowing down your speaking pace. Whatever your goal is, write it down and then track your progress over time. Regularly revisiting your goals will help you stay focused and provide a clear roadmap for improving your communication skills. Consistency is the key to turning communication skills into habits. It's not enough to practice once and expect dramatic results. To make lasting improvements, you need to incorporate practice into your daily life. Commit to practicing communication skills every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. For example, you can practice active listening during your daily conversations or work on your pacing while speaking during meetings. The more consistent you are, the faster you'll develop better communication habits. Think of practice like exercising your muscles. The more you work at it, the stronger you become. Similarly, the more you practice communication skills, the better and more natural they'll become. The benefits of consistent practice extend far beyond just becoming a better communicator. As you improve your communication, you'll notice other areas of your life benefiting as well. Strong communication skills lead to better relationships, increased influence, and more opportunities for success in your personal and professional life. You'll find it easier to build rapport with others, resolve conflicts, persuade and motivate people, and create a positive impact on the world around you. By practicing communication skills regularly, you not only improve your ability to connect with others, but you also enhance your ability to lead, inspire, and grow. These skills become the foundation for building a more successful and fulfilling life. Practice is the most effective way to turn communication skills into lifelong habits. By practicing regularly and purposefully, you'll refine your skills, build confidence, and start seeing tangible improvements in your communication. Start small. Reflect on your progress. Seek feedback, and embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. With consistency and dedication, you'll transform your communication into one of your greatest strengths. The more you practice, the more natural and effective your communication will become, allowing you to connect with others in a deeper, more meaningful way. By now, we've explored a variety of tools and strategies to improve your communication: active listening, asking open-ended questions, enhancing your body language, and building your vocabulary. We've also discussed the importance of feedback, practice, and self-awareness. But what if there's something holding you back from fully applying these techniques? For many people, it's fear and anxiety, fear of judgment, fear of making mistakes, or simply the fear of not being understood can be powerful barriers to effective communication. In this section, we're going to dive into how you can overcome these fears and communicate more confidently, no matter the situation. Whether you're nervous about speaking in public, engaging in difficult conversations, or even expressing your thoughts in everyday exchanges, the strategies we'll discuss will help you conquer these obstacles and unlock your full potential as a communicator. Before we can address communication anxiety, it's important to understand where it comes from. The fear of speaking or communicating with others can be rooted in various sources, including a fear of judgment, a fear of rejection, or the fear of failure. We often fear that our message will be misunderstood, that we'll say the wrong thing, or that others won't take us seriously. Communication anxiety can arise in many situations. It could be when you have to speak in front of a group, when you're about to present an idea to your boss, or when you're having a tough conversation with a loved one. These anxieties can make it difficult to fully express yourself, leading to hesitation, unclear messages, or even avoidance of communication altogether. The good news is that communication anxiety is normal, and with the right strategies, you can overcome it. Let's explore how one of the first steps in overcoming communication anxiety is to recognize the negative thoughts that fuel it. When you're about to speak, your mind might be flooded with worries. What if I mess up? What if they don't understand me? What if they think I'm not smart? These thoughts are common, but they're also unhelpful and often inaccurate. Instead of letting these thoughts control you, take a step back and challenge them. Ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this will go poorly? More often than not, these fears are based on assumptions, not facts. Remember that everyone makes mistakes, and most people are more forgiving in us than we give them credit for. To counter these negative thoughts, try reframing them. For example, instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" try thinking, "I've prepared for this, and I'll do the best I can." Instead of fearing rejection, remind yourself that every conversation is an opportunity to learn and grow. By actively challenging your negative thoughts and replacing them with positive affirmations, you can reduce the impact of anxiety and boost your confidence. Another important aspect of overcoming communication anxiety is practicing self-compassion. Many people are overly critical of themselves when they speak. They fear that every mistake or imperfection will be noticed by others. But the truth is, no one is perfect, and that includes you. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to not have all the answers. Being kind to yourself when things don't go exactly as planned is key to overcoming fear. Instead of criticizing yourself for every little mistake, remind yourself that communication is a skill, and like any skill, it takes time to develop. Embrace your imperfections and treat yourself with the same understanding and patience that you would offer to others. If you stumble over a word, take a deep breath and continue. If you forget what you were going to say, pause for a moment and gather your thoughts. In the grand scheme of things, small errors are rarely as noticeable as we think they are. People will appreciate your authenticity and will likely be more forgiving than you expect. One way to reduce anxiety is to shift your focus away from yourself and onto your message. Instead of worrying about how you sound or whether others are judging you, concentrate on the value you're offering through your communication. Remember, the purpose of communication is to convey an idea, share information, or connect with others, not to be perfect. By focusing on the message rather than your performance, you'll feel less pressure to be flawless. Your goal is to communicate effectively, not to impress. If you stay focused on your intent, to share your thoughts, ideas, or emotions, your anxiety will start to dissipate, and you'll be more engaged in the conversation rather than worrying about how you're being perceived. Preparation is one of the best ways to reduce anxiety before important conversations or presentations. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. If you have a presentation coming up, rehearse your speech in front of a mirror, record yourself, or practice in front of a friend. The more familiar you are with the material, the more comfortable you'll be when it's time to speak. Even in everyday conversations, preparation can help alleviate anxiety. If you're about to have a difficult conversation with a colleague or loved one, take a moment to think about what you want to say. Outline the key points you want to make, and consider how you can express yourself clearly and calmly. By preparing in advance, you'll feel more in control of the situation and less likely to feel overwhelmed by anxiety. Overcoming communication anxiety is a process, and it's important to take small steps toward improvement. If you're feeling nervous about speaking in public, start by practicing in low-stakes situations. Speak up in small meetings. have conversations with friends or family, and gradually build your comfort level. As you gain more experience, you'll become more confident in your ability to communicate in a variety of settings. Don't feel the need to jump straight into high-pressure situations. Start with easier conversations and gradually work your way up to more challenging ones. With each step you take, you'll become more comfortable with the process of communication, and your anxiety will begin to fade. In moments of heightened anxiety, taking a few deep breaths can help calm your nerves and refocus your mind. Before speaking, try taking a slow, deep breath in for a count of 4, holding it for 4 seconds, and then exhaling slowly for 4 seconds. This simple breathing technique can help reduce tension and promote relaxation. You can also practice mindfulness or grounding techniques to help you stay present during a conversation. Focus on the sensations in your body, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the air entering and exiting your lungs, and use these sensations to ground yourself in the moment. This can help you push past anxiety and stay focused on the conversation at hand. One powerful technique for overcoming fear is a visualization. Before you enter a situation where you feel nervous, take a moment to imagine yourself communicating confidently and effectively. Picture yourself speaking clearly, making eye contact, and engaging with others in a positive, open way. Visualizing success can help reframe your mindset and build confidence. Visualization allows you to mentally rehearse your communication skills and imagine the best possible outcome. The more vividly you can picture yourself succeeding, the more likely you are to feel confident and calm when the time comes to speak. Communication anxiety is a challenge that many people face, but it doesn't have to hold you back. By recognizing the source of your anxiety, practicing self-compassion, and using techniques like preparation, deep breathing, and visualization, you can conquer your fear and communicate confidently. Remember that overcoming anxiety is a gradual process, and with consistent effort, you can learn to approach communication with clarity, confidence, and ease. The next time you feel anxious before speaking, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you are capable. By using the strategies outlined in this section, you'll transform your fear into fuel for growth and become a more confident and powerful communicator. As we wrap up this journey, I want to remind you that improving your communication skills is a continuous process. The tools and strategies we've discussed in the past sections are powerful, but the real magic happens when you make them a part of your daily life. Communication isn't just a set of techniques. It's about connecting with others, building relationships, and creating positive outcomes in every conversation. Don't be discouraged if progress feels slow at times. Like any skill, communication takes consistent effort and practice. Each step you take, whether it's listening more attentively, speaking more clearly, or managing your emotions, adds up to meaningful growth over time. So, as you go forward, embrace the opportunities for practice that come your way. Approach every conversation with confidence, knowing that the more you practice, the more natural and effective your communication will become. Remember, effective communication is about more than just the words you use. It's about the connection you make, the understanding you foster, and the impact you have on the world around you. Keep striving to improve. And don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way, because each mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. You now have the tools to face any conversation with clarity and confidence. Whether you're speaking in front of a large group, engaging in a tough conversation with a friend, or simply navigating your daily interactions, you're ready to communicate with purpose. Believe in yourself and your ability to connect. The world needs your voice, your thoughts, and your unique perspective. So go ahead, speak up, and make a difference. You've got this.